President Trump is facing a challenging week as his administration deals with multiple controversies, a new policy proposal on credit cards, and an investigation into a cabinet member. Meanwhile, public figures from sports and entertainment are speaking out about recent events. Let's examine the key developments. So what's this credit card proposal everyone's talking about? On Friday evening, January 9th, 2026, President Trump posted on Truth Social calling for a one-year cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. Quote, "Please be informed that we will no longer let the American public be ripped off by credit card companies that are charging interest rates of 20 to 30% and even more, which festered unimpeded during the sleepy Joe Biden administration." Affordability. Trump stated the cap should take effect on January 20th, 2026, the one-year anniversary of his second inauguration. Currently, credit card interest rates average over 20% according to Federal Reserve statistics. The average rate as of December 2025 was approximately 21.6%. But here's the big question: how would this actually work? Trump's post did not specify how this cap would be implemented. It's unclear whether he's calling for voluntary compliance from credit card companies, planning executive action to enforce the cap, asking Congress to pass legislation. The White House has not clarified implementation plans. Now, did you know a bill like this already exists? What many people do not realize is that legislation to cap credit card rates at 10% already exists in Congress. Senators Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, and Bernie Sanders, Independent from Vermont, introduced the 10% Credit Card Interest Rate Cap Act in February 2025. The bill, S-381, would cap interest rates at 10% and sunset on January 1st, 2031. After Trump's Friday night post, Senator Hawley responded on social media, "Fantastic idea, can't wait to vote for this." However, the bill has not advanced through committee and faces significant opposition from both banking industry groups and some lawmakers who worry about unintended consequences. So how did the banking industry respond to this? Banking industry groups responded swiftly and negatively to Trump's proposal. A coalition including the American Bankers Association, Bank Policy Institute, and Consumer Bankers Association issued a joint statement. Quote, "While we appreciate the president's desire to increase affordability, the plain truth is that capping rates at 10% does not make credit more affordable. It makes it unattainable for millions of working Americans because financial institutions will not be able to offer credit cards to most consumers at a 10% rate." The Bank Policy Institute estimated last year that more than 14 million American households that rarely pay their credit card balances in full could have their access to credit eliminated or curtailed by a 10% cap. The Electronic Payments Coalition warned that a one-size-fits-all 10% cap risks making things worse by reducing access to credit and limiting choice. Banking groups argue that if lenders can't charge higher interest rates to riskier borrowers, they simply won't lend to them at all, forcing people toward unregulated alternatives like payday lenders. Why is Trump proposing this now? This proposal comes as Trump faces growing concerns about affordability and the economy heading into the November 2026 midterm elections. Republicans lost significant ground on the economy issue in recent polling, with voters citing high costs as their top concern. Earlier this week, Trump directed the federal government to buy $200 million in mortgage bonds to try to lower mortgage rates. These moves appear designed to show voters Trump is taking action on affordability, even as some question whether the proposals can actually be implemented. Now let's talk about this Labor Secretary investigation. In another development Friday, the New York Post reported that Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer is under investigation by the Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General. So what exactly are the allegations here? According to the Post's report, a complaint filed last week alleges that Chavez DeRemer pursued an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate, welcomed the individual to her D.C. apartment at least 3 times, met with the individual in hotel rooms twice while traveling, drank alcohol in her office during work hours, committed travel fraud by having staff create official trips to destinations where she could spend time with family or friends on taxpayer expense. The Post cited anonymous sources and documents they reviewed. And what's the response from the Labor Department? Department of Labor spokesperson Courtney Perella issued a categorical denial. Quote, "These unsubstantiated allegations are categorically false. Secretary Chavez DeRemer has complied with all ethics rules and department policies and remains fully engaged in carrying out the department's work on behalf of this historic administration. The Secretary is considering all possible avenues, including legal action, to fight these baseless accusations from anonymous sources." Taylor Rogers, a Labor Department communications official, stated, "Secretary Chavez DeRemer is an incredible asset to President Trump's team, and she will continue advancing the President's America First agenda." Who is Lori Chavez DeRemer? Anyway, Chavez DeRemer, 57, is a former one-term Republican congresswoman from Oregon who served from 2023 to 2025. She was defeated in the 2024 election by Democrat Janelle Bynum. She was a somewhat controversial pick for labor secretary because she had voted for Democratic legislation expanding labor union rights during her time in Congress. It was widely speculated that Trump appointed her to reward Teamsters Union President Sean O'Brien for maintaining neutrality in the 2024 presidential election. The Teamsters endorsed her nomination. She was confirmed by the Senate on March 10, 2025, by a vote of 67 to 32, and sworn in on March 11, 2025. What happens with this investigation? A Department of Labor Office of Inspector General representative stated, DOLOIG remains committed to rooting out fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption through objective, independent oversight of the U.S. Department of Labor. The investigation is ongoing. No timeline has been provided for its completion. Now, let's look at how public figures are responding to Minneapolis. Several prominent public figures made statements this week about the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good by ICE agent Jonathan Ross in Minneapolis. What did Steve Kerr have to say? After the Minnesota Timberwolves held a moment of silence for Good before their Thursday game, Warriors coach Steve Kerr commented, quote, "I'm glad that the Timberwolves recognized her life and the tragic nature of her death. It's shameful, really, that in our country, we can have law enforcement officers who commit murder and seemingly get away with it. It's shameful that the government can come out and lie about what happened when there's video and witnesses who have all come out and disputed what the government is saying. So very demoralizing, devastating to lose anyone's life, especially in that manner. Terribly sad for her family and for her and for that city." Dave Matthews also spoke out. Here's what he said. Musician Dave Matthews, whose birthday was Thursday, posted a video statement about the Minneapolis shooting. Quote, "I do not want my taxes to pay for masked individuals to roam our streets and terrorize our communities and rip families apart. We should be taking care of each other. We should be minding each other. We should be housing the homeless." Renee Nicole Good, murdered in front of her fellow citizens in Minneapolis, murdered in the streets. And no matter what narrative this administration is trying to sell us, we can see the videos. From most angles, near and far, it looks like she was trying to get away, and he shot her 3 times in the head. This administration, these people who are trying to tell us not to believe what we see, it is horrific. What about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? At a press conference, Representative AOC stated, quote, "I understand that Vice President Vance believes that shooting a young mother of 3 in the face 3 times is an acceptable America that he wants to live in. And I do not. And that is a fundamental difference between Vice President Vance and I. I do not believe that the American people should be assassinated in the street." Senator Tina Smith had strong words. To Minnesota. Senator Tina Smith, who visited the shooting scene, told reporters, quote, "You can see from this video that it is a lie to say that the officer was run over. Second of all, I worked at the city of Minneapolis. I was the chief of staff. I've worked closely with law enforcement in my roles at state and local government, and I have never seen anybody describe as protocol holding a cell phone and taking video while you are simultaneously shooting a gun that ends up killing somebody. It's kind of unbelievable." And Governor Josh Shapiro? He didn't hold back on J.D. Vance, Pennsylvania. Governor Josh Shapiro criticized Vice President Vance's response to the Minneapolis situation. Quote, "J.D. Vance has absolutely no core. That guy is profoundly and pathetically a weak human being, and he does whatever he thinks his boss wants him to do. What we need right now is not idiotic gaslighting from the sitting Vice President of the United States, but we need a real thorough investigation. The only way that you're going to restore faith and trust in the community is by making sure the community has the truth of what really occurred. And J.D. Vance did his job on behalf of Donald Trump, which was to block the truth from coming out." So what's the bigger political picture here? These developments come as Trump faces growing political challenges, midterm concerns. Trump himself acknowledged to Sean Hannity this week that sitting presidents always lose the midterm, suggesting he expects significant losses in November. Republican defections. This week saw 17 House Republicans join Democrats to pass ACA subsidy extensions, and 5 Senate Republicans vote for a war powers resolution on Venezuela. Approval ratings. Trump's approval ratings remain historically low for a first-year president. Policy controversies. From Venezuela to Greenland to Minneapolis, Trump's policies are generating bipartisan concern. All right, so what happens next? On credit cards, watch to see if Trump takes executive action or pushes Congress to act on the interest rate cap. Credit card companies appear unlikely to voluntarily comply. On the labor investigation, the Inspector General investigation will continue. If substantiated, the allegations could lead to ethics violations or potentially resignation. On Minneapolis, the FBI investigation continues, though Minnesota authorities are still seeking involvement. Protests continue, and the political fallout is ongoing. On the midterms, with 10 months until elections, Republicans in competitive districts are showing increasing willingness to break with Trump on issues they see as political liabilities. Here's the bottom line. President Trump proposed a 10% cap on credit card interest rates effective January 20, 2026, though implementation details remain unclear. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer is under Inspector General investigation following allegations she denies as categorically false. Prominent public figures from sports and entertainment are speaking out about the Minneapolis ICE shooting, with most criticizing the administration's response. Trump acknowledged he expects to lose the midterm elections, following a week where Republicans in Congress broke ranks on multiple issues. The coming weeks will reveal whether Trump's credit card proposal moves forward, how the labor investigation develops, and whether Republican defections continue as the midterm elections approach. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me what you want fact-checked next. And as I always say, thank you for watching and may God watch over you.